Well, happy mid-August, everyone. I know this is the time of year that people eagerly await the back to school email, letter, or in this case, video from the superintendent, because it signals it's that time of year that buildings prepare to welcome our learners back into our spaces. Now, typically, we begin the year with the district-wide kickoff, and last year that wasn't possible due to our COVID-19 protocols. We're going to hold off on that event for one more year, but not due to COVID. We wanted to give that time back to buildings. We know that the previous 18 months has had us focus on a lot of different things at the expense of connections within our own buildings, and wanted to provide time and space for building staff to renew that sense of community at that level. Now, for those of you who missed that first morning of everyone getting together, don't worry. Our plan is to bring that back next year. And for those of you that would rather do something else with your time, the good news is in this format, you can stop the video at any point in time and turn me off. Now, I hope you don't. My goal is to keep this short, which is hard for me to do at times, but I promise I will do that. And also to provide some context as we begin to prepare and think about the 2021-22 school year. Now, I've said this many times, and will continue to say this, that the past 18 months has been hard. It's been difficult for our learners, difficult for all of you, and difficult for our families. We've been asked to do things that we've never had to do before and think in ways that we've never had to think before. And we must acknowledge that this has been difficult. But I'd really like to frame the last 18 months in a different way as we move into this school year. Some of you may know, and most of you don't, that I officiate college football. And during our fall clinic, we had an opportunity to listen to the Big Ten commissioner share his perspective on the past 18 months. And he said something that really struck with me. He said that when talking about the last year and a half, he tries to replace the word hard with important. And that really kind of gave me an opportunity to think about things differently. It was important for us to recognize and see the obstacles that our current system presents to learners and families. And a light was really shown on that as we moved into distance and hybrid learning. It was important to see the impact of engagement over compliance, especially when our learners were not in our physical spaces. And it was important that we strategically asked ourselves, why are we doing this, and should we be doing this at all, as we designed high-leverage learning experiences that transcended 3 different learning models. Now, this upcoming school year will be important as well, but not for the reason some may think. We hear things like learning loss, and it's true. Learners may not be in the same place had we not had all the disruption of learning model changes over the past 18 months. No, it'll be important because we cannot forget the lessons learned as we welcome our learners back. We cannot just snap back to the way things used to be. We must build back better. We must take what we know and implement it and use it and leverage it as we design moving forward. And these lessons most certainly show us a new path forward. As I begin to think about the 2021-22 school year, I think of the importance of our guiding principles and how well they have served us as we move from distance learning to hybrid learning to in-person learning. And to be honest, these are core things that we always knew to be important, but the system got in the way of them. So I want to take just a second to review them with everybody to provide context as we begin to think about what can this year look like. First of all, connection over content. We know that relationships are core to any learning. And if we go back and we think about it, and we think about our rich learning environments and experiences, they're all connected to somebody we had strong relationships for. We need to deeply know our learners, their strengths and their challenges, and take that into account as we design learning experiences. We also know that no matter what role we play, we can take time on a daily basis to build connection with our learners within buildings. Whether it's sitting down and taking time to listen to them share their stories, their experiences, and what makes them who they are, or simply smiling and say hi as we pass each other in the hallways. I don't know a lot, but I do know this. Progress only moves at the speed of relationships, and learning relationships is core. Without that, we are not going to be able to support and help our learners move forward as they come out of these past 18 months. Number 2, less is more with depth, richness, and a high cognitive demand. Unfortunately, our education system has really been focused on information and plowing through curriculum and standards. We learned over the past 18 months that if we spend more time going in depth, that will have a far greater impact. We also know in gaining feedback from our community that our families really, really appreciated getting down to the important things and spending more time on that. Our goal is providing and supporting our learners in gaining knowledge and applying that knowledge and not just getting and gathering information. Number 3, design flexibility, easy for me to say. Learning is not a linear process. Our system is organized as something that is linear, but that's never been the case. We need to continue to build in time and supports for learners when they need it, and understand that sometimes learners will go slow and sometimes they will go fast. And our competency-based framework supports that and allows that time for learners when they need it. And then finally, monitor, evaluate, and respond. If there's nothing else that we learned over the past 18 months, and as we look forward, the future is not predictable. As much as I'd like to say this is what the 2021-22 school year is going to look like, I have no idea. And that's okay. We will be able to figure out, look at our circumstances, evaluate those, and respond in an appropriate manner. And that same goes for our learning. We need to continue to check and see where our learners are in their path, evaluate, and then provide them the supports, time, and opportunities based on where they're going. Now, as we know, things can change quickly, and we've done a fantastic job within our district to responding to those, and I thank everybody for the work of the past 18 months. Our strategic plan and our strategic direction have served us well, and they will continue to serve us well as we move forward. As you begin to think about what this next school year is going to look like, I would again ask you to look back and think about those guiding principles. Connection over contact, less is more with depth, richness, and high cognitive demand, design flexibility, and monitor, evaluate, and respond. And if we hold true to those, we will serve our learners greatly. Have a great last few weeks of summer, and I look forward to seeing all of you in our buildings as they begin to fill back up with our learners who are going to be excited to be back with you. Thank you, and be well.